Hey guys, welcome to today's video. Last week we started this makeover on my son's room. We painted all of the walls a nice dark navy color. We also fixed up his Lego table and built a Nerf rack. But today I really want to get started on a big project that I've been putting off, and he's currently staying in the guest bedroom and we have guests coming, so I've got to get this project finished up, get him out of there, so let's get started. If you saw last week's video, you saw me remove these closet doors and the trim around them, and today I want to start putting back some doors, but we want them to open out instead of sliding back and forth so he can see all his closet at the same time. But to do that, we're going to need to remove this drywall and get to the studs behind it. If you're wanting to do this in your house, and you already have a doorway that's framed, like it's wood on the sides and the top, you can completely skip this step. But I have to get down to the studs and then frame out the doors, and I have to take off these corner pieces first before I can even take off the drywall, so that's what's kind of taking forever, but it has to be done before I can frame it out. This is a huge mess, but demo is officially over, so we just need to clear this out and then we can start building back. I want to take a quick break to tell you guys about today's sponsor. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for anyone who loves learning and wants to explore their creativity and learn new skills. So basically, any skill that you're trying to learn, Skillshare is the perfect place to start. From photography and illustration to graphic design, freelancing, you can find classes that will match your goals and your personal interests. I've always wanted to learn how to watercolor, and I thought it would be fun to take Maisie Clark's class on watercolor house portraits for beginners. She broke it down into steps like how to trace your outline onto the watercolor paper and how to use different brushes for different effects. It was really fun to be creative in a different way than I'm used to, and I was able to show my daughter what I learned, and we plan on taking another watercolor class soon. With thousands of online classes and more added every week, there really is something for everybody on Skillshare. The first 1,000 people to use the link in the description box will get a month free trial of Skillshare. Thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video, and now back to the doors. Now that the demo is done, I am taking some quick measurements of the width of this doorway and also the depth, because I'm going to take some boards and go rip them down on my table saw so they will be exactly as wide as I need them to frame out this doorway. And then I will just use some screws and screw them in after I put the boards together using a speed square to make sure that they're 90 degrees and it fits perfectly in the doorway. And that's gonna make it so much easier when we go to add our actual doors if we make sure that everything is square when we're assembling it. All right, we've got this door frame built, but if you remember the way the closet doors used to look, you know that they like overlapped each other and we want them side by side, and so we have to trim them down. So I need to trim 1 inch off the doors, and I've already done this one, and you can see how it's trimmed on the side. I cut 1/2 inch off of each side. I'll show you how I do that. There's a lot of different ways that you could do this. I could bring the doors down and do it on my table saw, but I didn't really feel like bringing the doors all the way downstairs, so I just brought my circular saw upstairs, and there's a way to do it where it's really accurate. Okay, so I know I want to cut 1/2 inch off of this door, so I take my tape measure and I'm marking the 1/2 inch right there, and then I'll take my saw and I'll put the blade where I would be cutting off 1/2 inch, and then I'm going to mark on the outside of the saw the line that I need to follow. And then I like to take this speed square and just kind of extend that line, and then I'll take a really straight board that's as long as my project and I will put it right on that line, and then I'll clamp it like this. I'll do the same thing on the other end, and then when I go to use my saw, this is now my guide, and I'll just follow it all the way down and then do it to the other side of the door too. Before we hang the doors, we need to do a little bit more to the framing. So the sliding doors had like a track right here, if you remember me taking that off in the last video, and then they had hardware that sat on the top here, and so it kind of hung down. So if I put the door on with the framing like it is, it would be like way high up off the carpet. So we're just gonna add a few blocks up here, and then we'll attach our framing to those blocks. Okay, the frame is in. I had to shim it a little bit on this side, but then this side, you can see how not plumb, level, whatever the term is, that was. And this was almost level, just a little bit of shimming there. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a door in. Okay, my math must have been off or something, I don't know. But do you see how it's like tight right there and down here? And so I'm gonna take all of this off and change out that 2x for a 1x. This really might be one of the hardest things I've done in this house. Like, my brain hurts from all the math, but it's not gonna beat me. It will not beat me. I will win. Okay, that is much better. The gap at the bottom is so much better. It's opening and closing smoothly. Now let's put on the other one. I'm adding this 1x2 to the top of the door frame here because that is going to be what actually stops the door whenever you close it, and I'm just screwing that in the middle and on each end, making sure that it kind of runs parallel with the door when it's closed, that it's not too far in, too far out, so that the doors will be flush with the frame whenever they're closed. Okay, I ran out of light last night, but the doors are in, and I wanted to show you guys, I did this off camera. I put these they're magnetic door catches. So one right there and one right there. So when you close the door, it holds it closed. And now we need to add the trim around the door. I decided to reuse some of the original door trim that was there before just to save some money. I did have to end up cutting a new piece for the top. I had some in the garage left over from another project that matched what was already there. So I was able to save some money that way. And I just installed those with my 1.5 inch brad nails with my nailer. And now that those are in, I'm going through and caulking everything. I say this almost every video, but caulking is really what makes a job go from DIY to professional. And so I'm just caulking all the cracks, and so when I go in with paint, everything will look nice and smooth and seamless. I let the doors dry overnight, and now I am ready to install the doorknobs. I'm using what's called dummy knobs. They basically are doorknobs, but are only half of one where they don't actually turn. They just screw onto the door, so they just act as kind of door handles that you can pull them out, and you'll be able to push them closed, and the magnetic latch will catch them. And that's going to be it for today's video. This project, I feel like I say this all the time too, this project ended up being more than I thought it was going to be, but my son is going to be thrilled with it because he can see his closet all at once, so he'll be able to see all of his stuff. So after the doorknobs are installed, this is how everything turned out. Then make sure that you're subscribed because next week we will be finishing up this room makeover and you guys don't want to miss it. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.